Hi everyone, so let's talk about adding rational expressions. So if you watched the video on LCM, finding the LCM of polynomials, this might help. Okay, so let's say we want to, let's add some polynomials. We've got, or actually before I start to say that, think about adding fractions, alright? So if you have 3/4 plus 5/6, what would we do in this instance? Well, you would find the least common multiple of 4 and 6 because your goal is that common denominator. You must, okay, find that common denominator, and then you would do, so something that goes into 4 and 6, well, you'd see that that's 12, so you would change this into 12. That's the least common multiple. And well, 4 was times 3, and what you do to the bottom, you also do to the top, so that's 9. Then 6 times 2, that's 12, so what you do to the bottom, you also do to the top, so that becomes 10. Right, so this is just a real quick fraction review. So it becomes 9 over 12 plus 10 over 12, and then you get 19 over 12, and you can simplify from there. But point being that if you want to add rational numbers, add fractions, which are rational numbers, you have to have the same denominator. That common denominator must be there for you to add straight across. If it doesn't work. All right, that's just the rule of adding rational numbers. And then rational expressions are the same thing, except you have expressions in your numerator and expressions in your denominator. Okay, so let's do an example. Oh wow, it's writing in red. Okay, so let's write in black. So an example of adding rational expressions. So let's say I have 4 over 5a squared b squared plus 9c over 10 times ab. Okay, so again, you want the least common multiple of 5a squared and b squared and 10ab. Right, least common multiple again is when each of those factors appears at its greatest time, and then that's going to be its LCM. Meaning, so if you have 5a squared b squared, you have 10 times ab. The least common multiple is actually when all the factors of each other are into 1. Alright, so if I just did 5a squared times b squared times 2, so here we'll find the LCM first, this is 10a squared b squared. Now for our second one, 10 times a times b, well, all you need to do is to multiply that by a times b, and then you get the same thing, 10a squared b squared. And now we've reached their least common multiple. Okay, so what I'd have to do is, what should we do to the bottom, we do to the top. So 5a squared b squared, I will multiply that to 2, and what I do to the bottom, I do to the top, so I'll also multiply that one by 2. And then the 10ab, I will multiply that by a times b, and what I do to the bottom, I do to the top, just like how we use fractions, okay? And then, you find the common denominator, and what you do to the bottom, you would also, whatever you multiplied at the bottom, you would also multiply that to your numerator for each of the fractions. So now my new fraction is 4 times 2, well, that's 8. 5a squared b squared, that's 10a squared b squared, plus 9cab, so that's just 9 times a times b times c, all over, and then it's 10a squared b squared. Now you have common denominator, and then you can add straight across. Adding straight across, we have 8 plus 9abc over 10a squared b squared. Now to simplify this, you want to look for, are there any common, are there any common, like factors between a and 9abc? Well, no, so you would just have, then there's nothing left to simplify in that case, so this would be your final answer.